some demo.
No. Feel free to do it longer, but it would be a lot of questions, so be ready to answer them. Okay, I think we have a lot of people already, and we can start. Okay, hello everybody. Happy New Year. This is our first monthly DecisionCAMP session this year. And today we will talk about quite interesting topic. If you remember our last DecisionCAMP, it was at the end a quite interesting discussion. Can we do better than we did in last 15 or 20 years with our rule engines, in spite of all our achievements in our rule engines, or so-called symbolic AI? Many of us feel that it's not good enough. And it was, I posted in chat a link to this discussion. And surprisingly, at the end of 2022, I saw this several interesting posts from Dr. Bas van der Raadt from Holland. And he is asking basically the same question. He is asking, can we do better than this? And he expressed his frustration of using symbolic AI technology for 15 years. And he decided to change dramatically his own career and try to ask questions how are ontologies and business rules connected. And based on his these initial intentions, he managed to build some first prototype of system he is building, and he kindly agreed to present his results and his questions today to our community, and I'm glad to give Bas the word. Bas, take over.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Jacob, for the opportunity to share my story, and thank you for the nice introduction. So I will talk a little bit today about the topic of symbolic AI in the context also of natural language, which is, I think, a hot topic with everything happening in the AI field. I prepared some slides just to give some background about myself, but especially about the platform we're trying to build, and I will demo the platform, but I will start first with explaining a little bit the background. How did I come to this point, and where do we stand? So this will be the agenda. I will give a short introduction of myself, Jacob already mentioned some things I've been posting actively about on LinkedIn. So I will take some snippets of the content I shared already there, but also add some new things that are quite recent, I think. So just a little bit about myself. I have been working in the field of enterprise architecture for almost 20 years now. Started out doing a PhD on enterprise architecture, but also combined that with consultancy work. First with Capgemini, later on with Ernst & Young. So I always combined theory and practice. I think they make each other stronger. So that has always been my philosophy. I've done a lot of other stuff. So after I finished my PhD, I was done with very intense research work. So I did a lot of practitioners work. Also more in the field of strategy and management. And since early 2020, I started my own advisory practice. So I'm still advising customers on their enterprise architecture, digital transformations. But I also combine that with working on the platform I will present today. So we're using much of the experience I gained in my career, to look at how can we do things differently. And that's always my personal philosophy. I'm always trying to look at the world and think about, okay, how can we do it differently? So that research mindset has always been there, and I'm actively doing that now again. So I recently wrote an article which was published on the Business Rules Community's site in the Business Rules Journal, a little bit about my background, and Jacob already mentioned a little bit about it. So I've been actively involved in helping big organizations, making more sense out of their processes, application landscapes, and trying to make organizations more effective and efficient. But I felt in the beginning, when I started with this work, I was very enthusiastic and very motivated to really help organizations. But after a while, the feelings sank in that, it's so complex, and where to start and where do you ever get the results? So it's such a hard process to get organizations to deal with their processes better, with their data, with their applications, with their technology. It's such a big mess, to say it bluntly. How do we? Is there not another way to approach this complex beast? Can we do it in a different way? And it started out in the time that I was working for Schiphol Airport, and I did a project I mentioned quite some in the article, but that was where I was captured by the concept of natural language. We specified for a project that was running for 10 years and wasn't able to deliver. We started specifying the domain in natural language, really actively with the business. And it wasn't easy to get them to adopt that way of working, but it really changed the dynamics. And at the end, the project succeeded. And for me, there was a turning point where I felt, wow, the power of natural language and being able to, not make it a technical complexity, but the business is complex enough. So let's try to solve that with the language that everyone speaks, our own language as humans. This triggered me to investigate this, and I want to take you along a little bit in that journey, and where did it end up. So when I look at organizations, there's a lot going on in the complexity, but to touch upon some points, if you look at it from an external perspective, a customer perspective, how often do you apply for something at an organization, an insurance company, or try to book a ticket or whatever, and it's just so difficult. I mean, you're entering data somewhere and you feel like it ends up somewhere in this big system where you don't really know where's my data processed and what can I expect. So if I fill in my information and I do a request, can I expect, if I do a good job, that I actually get the approval or not? So as a customer, you're expecting a predictable process, but the experience is not always like that in practice. So I think many organizations are trying to do a digital transformation where they're trying to improve that, but it's really hard. But it is what the customer is expecting. And if you take a more internal perspective on organizations, I mean, it's not like, when you work for an organization that is struggling to provide that predictable process or outcome, it's often because it's very complex. I mean, how many systems do you use? How many people work? But also, where in the code of systems are my business rules actually being performed or executed? It's often very hard to determine where are the decisions made. So as an organization, you're trying to make transparent where decisions are made and why certain decisions are made in the way they are. But try to find it in all the systems you have running. And I'm also expressing here that I think it's crucial that we have a human-centric approach to how we digitalize our processes, organizations, or whatever we try to do with technology. It's still humans trying to stay in control and being able to do what they want with the technology they use. So these are just some, and of course I've got many more things that I feel like that play a role in how organizations become so complex. But I specifically took these to make some points later on in the presentation. So the power of natural language. So now in the last few weeks, you already saw a lot of things about ChatGPT, of course, and I feel like you cannot have a presentation on artificial intelligence at this moment without addressing that. So I think what is so appealing about ChatGPT is because it gives you this really natural feel of, in your own language, interacting with the system. So the experience is phenomenal. But if you look at this example, and there are many examples I saw fly by on LinkedIn, is this the predictability that we expect? So this is an example of a statistical AI approach to making things more easier, less complex. But I wonder if it's the right approach, because if you look at statistical AI, this is a joke I saw on LinkedIn as well, but it was actually about somebody who is really an expert in machine learning. I mean, because the experience is so feels so natural, the user really also feels like it's the right information being provided by ChatGPT, but they're not always aware of the fact that it is not perfect. And in the whole field of statistical AI, it's always a discussion how much predictability or reliability can you approach. You can never really approach the 100%. So I think I wonder if this solves our problem. And also the transparency. If you look at the way that neural networks are set up, there are by definition hidden layers. So when I have my data going into the neural network, I know what comes out, and yeah, I can see, does it make sense or not? But how are the decisions made? I don't know exactly, because that's hidden in the network. And also something I recently tried to address was that I feel like the human centricity, it's fading away. So I saw this recent architecture on a real-time decision making system on the right, and it resembled a picture I took from Alan Fish from his book, and it's from 2012, so there's 10 years apart. And of course, I mean, we've learned a lot in improving machine learning and those kind of things. But what struck me the most was that the fact that there's on the left, there's still human actors mentioned in the picture, and on the right, I don't see them. So are we taking the right approach with all the advancements in the field we are making? Are we not losing a little bit the role of the human actor in it? Should that not stay in control? Because at the end of the day, how you want to, how advanced artificial intelligence might become, it's still something that should work for humans and not the other way around. So these are some questions I try to address, and I think it's important that we also provide an alternative, that there's not just one way of dealing with the questions we try to solve with artificial intelligence. And I luckily see some good debates also on LinkedIn and other platforms on shouldn't we not forget about symbolic AI and maybe some hybrid form of combining the two fields, which is good, but it's not getting that much attention as all the hype that is currently around ChatGPT and other forms of statistical AI. So that's a concern I have, and what our goal is with our platform is to provide an alternative where we can try to leverage the power of natural language, but then do it in a way that is more reliable, more transparent, and the human actor stays in control. So that's the philosophy that we originally had when building this platform. And I have to say, it's still experimental, so this is it's not something we already have in production and anywhere. We are really trying to do the research and building this platform to see, okay, what are the reactions? Can we achieve the goals that we originally set with building this platform? And that's also the reason why I've been active on this topic, and also glad with this session where we can really see, okay, what are the reactions, and are we giving an alternative answer to the questions? Can we do it differently? Can we make it easier, but keep the elements of predictability, transparency, and human centricity in there? So I'm using a very simple example here, a sort of a hello world kind of example to explain what is how did we set up our system. So it's basically we're combining ontology-driven knowledge graph with a business rules engine. And we try to use as much as possible natural language to express the ontology and the rules. And yeah, it's a first version. So I already have some feedback on, okay, these are still very simple sentences. And we're, for instance, trying to look at, can we incorporate things like role and reference grammar to make the language more natural, because they're now, yeah, it's still quite simple. But let me just run through this example from left to right. And right after that, I will show this as a demo in the platform. So I'll combine the theory here with the practical, yeah, what does that look like in practice demo. So our ontology is based on yeah, three concepts you can define as nouns. So we have entities, attributes, and what we call descriptors. And descriptor I will not address here, but an example of a descriptor might be an address, which is not an entity, but it is a grouping of attributes that by itself has a certain meaning. An address points to the location of a real estate object, a house or an apartment building or whatever. So that's an example of a descriptor. But I'll first keep it simple here and say, so we have entities that are given attributes via what we call attribution. So it's a way to define what the relationship is between the entity and the attribute. So in this example, persons are referred to by their first names. So that is the what we call statement. So it's based on yeah, similar to triples in RDF, or OWL also does yeah, the subject predicate object kind of construction. And this is the way our ontology graph is built. I will show later on in the demo how you yeah, create the nouns and the verbs and how you make the statements. But this is the whole concept. So in this case, persons are referred to by first names. And in this hello world example, we want to show a rule that when a new person is added to our knowledge graph, it receives a greeting with a message. So that's the second statement. Persons receive greetings, which is two entities being associated. And we on the bottom, we have greetings contain messages, which is also a form where an entity is connected to an attribute via an attribution. If I'm going too fast, I don't know if on Slack or anywhere there are already
No,
questions.
you're doing good.
Okay. So on the left side, that's the ontology that specifies the structure of a knowledge graph. And on the right side, here is the action rule we want to define to specify the behavior of the goal we have when a new person is entered into our knowledge graph. We want to send them a greeting message. So the action rule, and here it's an action rule. We also have constraint rules and query rules. And that's not it is already in the platform, but we don't have it on in our demo yet. But so these are the three types of rules we acknowledge. In this case, the action rule is there to when it's the conditions in the knowledge graph are as specified in the rule. So that's the first step, the condition. Then the rule fires and will perform some actions and some operations. So here you can see that when a person with a first name is entered into in our knowledge graph, that's the trigger that fires the condition when person one is referred to by first name, checks that makes the trigger for the actions. So then the rule flow goes to the first action, create a greeting. Then a second action is fired, which then fires an operation. So we want to assign to that greeting a message, and we have to create that message, and that is done by the operation. So in this case, we want to have the text hello joined with the first name of that person that was just created. And as a last step, we want to connect that greeting we just created to the person that was just added to our knowledge graph. So the flow is from a triggering condition to some actions and some operations, and these actually trigger new data. So we can create new data and connect it in a proper way. So this is a very simple example to show the concept. Then I will switch to another screen. Okay. If it's correct, you can see the home page of our website. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so if you go to Raadt app in the menu, there's some explanation. I'm just going to skip. And I preloaded this example. So here you can see as entities, I've got person is a human being, greeting, the attributes, first name, message. So these were all the elements that I showed in the slide. These are the elements in our ontology. So you can see here, we allow you to add definitions of those concepts, because it's very important. Just one noun, okay, when I say car or airplane, then you can have a good idea about what do I mean. But in certain more technical domains, banking, insurance, I don't know, a noun doesn't have by itself just a clear meaning. So in our platform, we really stress the importance that you give a clear definition to every element in the ontology. So it becomes semantically rich, and when a person that is new to the domain actually looks at it, he or she can really understand, okay, what do these terms mean? So these are already in the platform. The verbs are there as well. So I've got my association, the receive association, two attributions, which I also showed on the slide. And if you want to create a new statement, I will show you, and I'll make one that's already there. So we made sure that there cannot be double statements. But greetings, you can select it here and then contain. I have to do the right one, of course, otherwise we have a problem. Oh, no, it doesn't allow you to make a second one. So it filters out the messages because the platform already knows, okay, I already have a statement that says greetings contain messages, so you cannot create a second one, because we want to have unique statements in our platform. But you can see it's a way of doing the subject relationship object. So it's a triple structure that allows you to build the statements. I've got also my rule in here already predefined. So I called the rule greet person. And this is the way that it's shown. So when you want to create this is the view, the way to view the rule, but I will show later how you can add a rule. Yeah, rules are divided into 3 parts: the when, which is the condition part; the do, these are the operations. In this case, I want to create a new text where I add hello and then the first name of this person. And here you can see the actions I just showed on the slide. There's also a way to, this is all text-based, but yeah, not everyone likes to, some people are more visually oriented. So we also allow to look at the same information in a graph view, which resembles the way that I showed it on the previous slide. For the rules part, we don't have this visualization ready yet, but it will look probably the same as I showed on the slide before. So I've got everything set up for to run the application, and this is one of the concepts. We wanted to have no intermediate technical step to generate code, to deploy the app. So as soon as you enter new concepts in this modeler view and you go to run app, it's instantly there. So there's no long time to do all this technical stuff. It's instantly there. So when before I do this, so now this is the app, and I've got in the app, I can see, okay, I've got 2 things I can create, a greeting and a person. And at this moment, there are no instances of data in the database or in the graph, the knowledge graph. So now what I expect is when I create a new person here.
But sorry, can you run this before you make changes?
Sorry, can I?
You said that you want to run it. Did I miss it?
Yeah, it's already running.
So where are results?
Yeah, no, I'm going to run it. So pay attention now. If I create a new person now, which I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. So let's say Jacob. I now create a person, but I'm also expecting there to be a greeting. So I create person Jacob. And it said here before, no instances of person, which makes sense because I had no person. Now I do, but I also have a greeting overview. So I can first show you, okay, I've got Jacob in my database now. But I can also show you now that I've got a greeting here, which is hello, Jacob. So the rule created this one. So I created the person as I just showed you in the form, but the rule created the greeting. And now I can see here, hello, Jacob. I can look at the greeting, and it says here, well, this is a greeting, this is the message, and this greeting is received by person one. Yeah, and person one is, if I go to person one, it's Jacob. So what I just showed you is that I can specify a knowledge with an ontology. I can specify a knowledge domain where I can add data and define relationships. In the app, I can create data, which makes sense. That's not that unique, but the rule actually also created new data. So this is the first point I wanted to show in the demo. How are we doing on time?
We spent a lot of time, but still we usually ask questions during the presentation. And my first question is how difficult to replace hello with good morning, good evening, good afternoon if we add concept of time of the day. Can you do it on the fly, or is it too difficult?
Yeah, no, that's so. Yeah, now just to do that instantly, that takes a little bit of time because
Okay, so don't start it. Okay.
No, but I can. What I can do is I can show how I can. Oh, sorry. It sometimes does that. So we're using WordPress as the front end, and it sometimes needs to log in again. So if I now want to add an attribute, because I said you can change the things and then go to the run app, and it's instantly there. So I can, it's quite easy to show you that I can add an attribute and it's instantly in the application available. Is that a useful thing to show?
Probably yes, because otherwise it's not clear what's the power of this tool.
Yeah, so I'm going to add a noun. So I want to say the person's the year it's born. I can do dates, but that's a little bit more work.
Okay.
And I just want to show you the concept. So I'm saying I'm adding a new. Oh, sorry, this is an entity. I don't need an entity. I want an attribute. So I'm going to add the attribute year. So how you add it is in the singular and plural form. You add the name and the definition. So I have those ready. So I want to add years, have a definition and say it's a number. So I'm adding that. And I have to add a new attribution because that's the way to connect an attribute to an entity. So I want to say person is born in year. So I'm adding that. Then I have to create the statement because they're not connected yet. So they're loose elements floating somewhere around. And now I have to create a new statement and say persons are born in and why is year not there? It's always when you do demos, it's I think I created an association maybe. Let me check. Yeah, this is right. Oh, no, I don't know. I'll try it again. It didn't, so it's still not perfect. It didn't store years somehow. Let's see if it now works. Yeah, it's there. Second attempt. Persons are born in years. Okay, so I now have in my graph view, previously I only had persons are referred to by first names. Now a person, I can also say persons are born in years. So now if I go back to the app, where I already created Jacob as a person. So here I have in the current database still Jacob here. But now I want to create a new person. And first I only had the first name. So now I'm adding myself. And hey, I is born in year. So I'm adding that. And now I can show I've got Jacob here with nothing in this is born in, because I created you before I changed my ontology. But now I have myself in here with date of birth. And the rule still triggers because I also have a greeting that says hello boss. So it didn't affect the rule that was fired. So this shows how you can change your ontology and instantly go to the running app and continue with the new structure you actually created.
Best to understand what's the difference between your approach and traditional rule engines, it could be nice if you show us, because everything what you show is part of traditional DMN, for example. Can you show us how to use this year? For example, if a person born, if age of this person, after, if it's only 5 years old person, you will tell hello little Jacob or hello little.
Okay, let's try that. I have to do it on the fly, so let's see if we can together come to something. So I'm creating a new draft rule. And what did you say? Read minor or something?
Yes, minor. Good.
Read minor. Okay. So we have an empty rule. We first have to say, okay, what are the conditions for this rule? So it's still a person, because we're going to add, look now not at the first name, but the age, or I added year, so it needs to be, so you want to say, something different than hello, but how do you want to greet? What's the
hello minor? It's okay.
Hello minor.
But we need definition of minor rules, related rules.
So, but this is only the text that we're going to use in the greeting. But now you're saying, yeah, I want to create an equation. So you're saying when the year that person one is born in is less than, oh, sorry, I have to add a year too, sorry. So I'm saying 2000. I have to do
Okay, 17. 17.
2017.
Yes, nice. Doesn't matter.
So I've got two values. Hello miner. This is going to we're going to use in the message, and this is the number we're going to use to do the comparison. So I'm taking the year that the person is born in, and when that is
More equal. Yeah.
okay. So this is now my condition, and we wanna do the same action. Let me see. The text, hello miner, and we want to join that with the name of the person, right? This is what you mean, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have that same operation, and then we do the same things. So we want to create a greeting. And we're assigning the assign. So we want to assign to the greeting the message it contains. And then we want to take that hello miner with the first name that the person is referred to by. So assign the operation we just defined to greeting one as the message it contains. So that's here. And then as a last step, we have to connect that person. Yeah, person should receive that greeting we just created. Yeah. So I think we're complete now, right? So we're activating the rule. I have to check if we have everything. Yeah. So activate rule. So we're now going to test it. So if I create a new person and it's born in
18.
Yeah. So Jane is here. And it got the yeah, I forgot the space here, but yeah,
It's
so
okay. It's okay. It's clear.
it shows it shows that it works. So yeah, you can define on the fly your rule and then activate it, and it's instantly there. Yeah.
Bas, you have 5 minutes left for your presentation, and probably one of the things many people want to understand why this is better than traditional DMN like technology when people defined everything in rules, because still I personally did not notice why it's better. But there is a factor that you have ontology explicitly defined. Probably you can expand on this point.
Yeah, so it is not our claim with this platform that it's like ChatGTP like wow. I think we try to do a couple of things. First, really try to use as much as possible natural language like way of specifying your ontology, your rules, so people can, without technical knowledge, can read it and understand what is this application doing, so they can really take that ownership. A second thing is we want to reduce the time between specifying and testing and running. So in fact, there is no space between that in this platform. So the feedback you get, so you make something and you can instantly test it and see if your assumptions that you made by specifying your domain and your rules, if they are correct. Because a lot of I've worked with quite some of these rule-based systems or dynamic case management or dynamic workflow platforms where they say, okay, there's a short release cycle, but in practice, there's often still some deployment step you need to take. And at the end of the day, if you really want to work agile and say, okay, I've got this group of domain experts that are actually the customers of this platform, you really want to have that interaction going very quickly. They think of something and then you build it and you test it, and it's a fluid process. So these are the principles behind this platform, which I'm not going to claim are unique, but we built it very lightweight. So this is written in Java. It's very small, a small jar, and you can run this on a mobile phone if you want. You can use it as embedded platform, so it's very lightweight, and I think that's also some different characteristic than many of the platforms that are quite big and are not as fluid and dynamic as we have it now. And yeah, these are some elements we try to keep while expanding the platform, giving it more functionality. We want to keep it lightweight and simple in use, and a quick feedback loop in building and testing and running. So these are some elements we try to really keep in the platform.
Okay.
So
do you want to summarize everything, or you're done? We can switch to questions.
I think I touched upon most of what I wanted to say. So I'm really curious about the questions. So I have a hard time actually seeing where the questions are.
Oh, you need to click chat, but before you finished, you started with a question that intrigued everybody, and it was question can we do better than this?
Yeah. And
what you presented, is it, I understand it's only at the very beginning, but still, why is this better than traditional decision management platforms, what most of us familiar with? Or do you feel that it's better than these platforms?
No, I think so. We're looking at how to position this this platform, and I'm not. So one of the ideas was that we keep it very lightweight, so it's possibly something that could be used in smaller settings. So we deliberately we are using WordPress as a content management system. So what you can do is, if you are a smaller company, a small business, and you don't have a big budget, and you have a WordPress site, you have just a plugin, and you can sort of make your static website suddenly have more intelligence. It's sort of a way to create a more functionality than you would otherwise not be able to. You can use a bunch of plugins, but that's not that easy to use often. So we're trying to see, is this lightweight approach, is this a way to allow companies that are smaller, that don't have that big budget, to leverage on this kind of technology.
Okay, we have first question from Alan Fish. You can read it. So Alan is asking, how do you organize and manage rules in a system like this? And probably he means not a trivial system. It's not Hello World. It's, let's say, insurance underwriting system, or is it loan origination system? And so it's a lot of rules, and they all classify in different categories. How would you manage them?
Yeah, so that is the visual part of the rule side we haven't created yet. So, but it will probably look, in a much more more dimensional way, as I showed it in the slide, where it's on the left was the ontology and the right the rule. So you can it becomes actually again a wider graph view where you can click through and see, for instance, if you click on an entity, which rules are connected to it, or if you click on a rule and you can see where the same conditions are used across. So when does a rule fire in under the same conditions? So we haven't created it yet, but it's all there. The information is in the platform, and one of the things you want to do is really look at user testing. How does it? What works best for the domain expert or the knowledge engineer that works with this platform? What would they expect as a user experience? So we don't know yet, but that's part of the sort of the research agenda we have set out for ourselves. We're working with together with the Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam to do research and see how can we make it human centric, user friendly. But we're also looking into how, for instance, how you can use this as a tool to generate OWL structures and export that. So there are many ideas, and I cannot show you anything now, but we are working on it.
Okay. The second question is from Jan van Sienen. Is there any relation to statistical AI? Because in your title was a comparison, and you almost did not mention only negative things about statistical AI. What would you say now?
Yeah, so I'm reading into a lot of research that is combining symbolic and statistical AI, where you often see that so the knowledge acquisition problem, it's hard to explore a domain and upfront define all the rules. So is there a way to do text analysis? So often in many organizations there are descriptions, procedure descriptions, or whatever documentation about the domain you have, and you could use statistical AI to go through those texts and try to do entity resolution or even business rule, distill business rules out of text. So there's research going on. We're really looking at some companies that are also active in setting up those kind of products. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and I think I do believe in the hybrid setup where you can use both forms of AI to make it transparent and predictable, but also easy to use. And I think that's a good combination. I really believe in it.
Okay, there is a question from Denis Gagné. How do you plan to deal with contradictions, multiple rules that leads to different conclusions?
That's a good question. So there's also some interesting research done on that, and so what we want to do is try to determine the inconsistencies or conflicts before the user tries to enter it. So already gets the feedback, and sometimes I know, for instance, in the Netherlands we have contradicting laws. So sometimes it is actually the reality. So you have to allow also to have those situations where we try to use the concept of domains, where you can say, okay, let's break up a bigger domain into smaller ones, and then say, okay, we can have contradicting rules across those domains. Yeah, the one contradicts the other, but yeah, and then you have to do resolution when they actually collide. But this is this is also still things we need to sort out, but it's a really good question. Yeah.
So, but there are no really good answers so far, right?
Sorry?
So far, no really good answer to this question. Or do you have any suggestions for future?
Yeah. So again, it's it's still a journey we are in, and doing a lot of research, and luckily there is already a lot available in the research. So we're trying to really leverage and use what's already there and not reinvent the wheel. But we're just trying to combine it into a practical platform, which really takes a lot of concepts that remain in the research domain, and really get it out into the world, and see if we can make things easier that way.
This question leads us to next question from Guilherme Malinas from IBM. And you can see he's asking, the value of your platform is in the linkage between rules and ontology. And did you consider trying to provide just that part tied up to one or several of existing rule engines?
Yeah, we actually tried that, but we found that, and again, this is also a step we can always take, but up till now we found out that some concepts are not in existing platforms yet. We are using on, that's a more technical thing in our engine, that are not available in existing concepts, but it might really be a step we can take and integrate it with existing platforms. So again, for me personally, it was really a way to get some positive energy again out of the work I'm doing, and also activating the research kind of mindset I had. So it started out as a hobby, and we ended up creating this, and there we have all these options to go. So I think it's an excellent idea to now see, okay, where do we stand, and can we maybe connect to existing platforms or rules?
What if I reformulate the same question a little bit differently? If instead of you incorporating existing rule engines from IBM, FICA, or Drules, for example, can we take part of your system that represents ontological definition of our environment and plug in it in our existing rule engines? Do you consider something like this?
We are considering publishing scientific articles about the concepts we created. So these are all things we are open to discuss, and see how we can have it's not about saying this is the best platform and it needs to be this, and we need to have all the market share. That's not the whole purpose of this this platform we're creating. We're just seeing it as a way to see in an open mind, how can we make things better, and if that's about sharing knowledge, yeah, we are considering open sourcing the platform, for instance. But yeah, there also we also invested in it, so that's always a squeeze. A trade-off you have to make, I think.
Just maybe if you have more questions, please type them, or you can unmute and ask these questions. Meanwhile, I just want to tell in conclusion probably that decision management business rules domain, different vendors always try to work closely with semantic web and combine ontologies, RDF with our systems. And there are, so far, we did not have good practical results of this, and what is really good, your intention to move in this direction. And you probably know about the semantic web reasoning tools, and we're working very closely with RuleML community, and the DecisionCAMP for years works closely with them, but still we fail so far to have some integration. Maybe what you presented, it's a good first step in this direction, but I hope you would not ignore very practical reasoning tools that RuleML already provides. Or do you have anything in this direction? Did you consider anything?
Yeah, no, but we deliberately, I think there's a lot of existing technology in the reasoning space, but we position this as an action-driven system that actually produces new data. So it's, I think it's a reasoner extracting new facts out of existing facts. Is a very interesting concept, but we wanted to do it slightly different and say, okay, we want a platform that allows you to create action-driven in an action-driven way, create data. Yeah, but there are similar concepts in there, and I'm currently reading a lot into that space and see if we can. Use similar technologies and also maybe connected in some way. But yeah, it's still a way to we're searching for the best way to connect. So if in this group there are any suggestions for standards, existing standards, or research, or whatever, please share. We just eager to connect and see, how can we use those things, because we don't want to reinvent everything if it's already there.
Okay, before we close the session, there is still 2 comments and one more question. Let's start with Jason Morris' question. I would like Beth to address why he thinks that symbolic AI is being overshadowed by statistical AI.
So I didn't answer that question, actually. Triggers me. So thank you, Jason, for this excellent question. And I think this is still a question I still personally struggle with, because I think what is being done currently with statistical AI is fascinating, but I have this personal concern that so for us, we're experts in the field. We can determine the value of such technology, but most of the users are not aware of the pitfalls. So it's not 100% predictable, reliable, transparent, and this is one of the things we want to help achieve with our platform and our concept, is to show an alternative and show the world that symbolic AI can be beautiful as well and can help us as well, and it shouldn't So there should be more balance between the two. And I cannot answer this question because I don't understand it. Yeah, partly I do understand, but I wish it was different. Let's call it that.
Okay. Does somebody wants to answer this question from the audience?
Yeah, I'd like to take a crack at it, Jacob.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
don't think it's a technical. Okay, I don't think it's a technical problem. We have great tools, and boss, I admire anybody who goes through the stress, the heartache, the joy of writing a new tool and of adding to practitioners' toolbox. I think it's a sales problem. We are selling badly into the market space, and we're competing against somebody who, at least at the moment, is cheap and easy. Cheap to the extent that much of it is free. I mean, the whole Chat GPT explosion is based on a tool that's being given away. I would argue that as soon as OpenAI and its masters start to monetize it, along with the various other generative AI tools, which are now giving away free tastes, kind of the crack dealer theory of business. As soon as they start to monetize it, usage will actually drop off. But it looks easy, and it looks easy. You know, you type in a prompt and out comes something.
Yeah.
So for the uninitiated, that's going to sound terrific, and business guys are going to swarm. And we don't have a response to that because our tools are, for the most part, hard. You know, to be done well, a project using tools in the space that most of us work in are not easy. The other thing is we continue to try and sell into people who I view as at least being obstacles, and that is the IT department. We continue to try and go around operations. Boss, I'd like to know, when you were at Schiphol, how many times did you stop and talk to the guys welding on pipe in a trench, or talk to the guys who are running electrical power lines? Did you listen to them? Did you think about them? We're not selling. That's my final point. We keep trying to sell into what I believe is a saturated market space. FinTech, health tech, those areas, the cubicle, you know, what I call, if people see me on LinkedIn, what I call the cubicle cowboys. Instead of selling to operations, you know, the guy standing with his head in a 737 engine at Sky Harbor Airport this past summer in 120-degree weather, in 120-degree temperatures, trying to figure out how to get an engine fixed so he can get a plane full of people off the ground. There are only 2 companies in our space that I know that are actually selling into the industrial space. And they aren't here. They aren't on this call. I have this gut feeling. Now, some of it is biased. I grew up in the construction business. I worked in the US and Latin America. I worked in the oil patch before I got into CS and before I got into AI. But I keep coming back to the fact that we have great tools. The people represented here are either building, Boss, or Jacob, Dennis, others are building or are working with great tools. We're selling them wrong. And I think we got to get out of our comfort zone, put on our work boots, get some grease under our fingernails, get some mud on our butts, and start talking to the people who do the job, not the other department, not the guys who sit in the cubicles in IT. Because all IT wants to do, they want to pick up a TensorFlow algorithm from, you know, for free from somewhere and just build something that they can control. Okay,
Okay,
I've had
Fred.
my piece.
Thank you, Fred. And we already over time, and I want to tell thank you to our presenter. And I understand that you just at the very beginning, and hopefully when you have a more advanced system ready to present, please contact us, and we would be happy to hear your progress and see where you are. But this is certainly a very interesting direction, and integration between business rules, ontology, and that's something what majority of us want to see. Thank you very much. And it would be published, this recording of this presentation would be published. And if you want, you can make more comments on decision management community or directly on YouTube. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.
Thank you.